Hey guys, welcome to the Fear of Speaking Part 2. Where does the fear come from? That's what we're going to be looking at in this video. And I want to start by asking you to consider this great quote by Epictetus, or Epictetus, depending on how you pronounce it. Who knows? It was thousands of years ago. He was a slave and philosopher. And I just love this. Look at this. We are disturbed not by the events of life, but by the views we take of them. We're disturbed not by the events of life. It's not the things that happen to us, but the view that we take of them. That's what he's saying is important. So it's not the events, it's not what happens to us. What happens to us all. It's how we think about it. It's the view we take of it that's important. And we looked at this in the last one, didn't we? Where we said, well, here's a dog, and the dog causes fear in Dave. Dave knows the dog causes fear because he can feel it. He can experience it. And that appears to be true. But then we said, well, hang on, if the dog was really the cause of the fear, then Mary would have felt the same way. She would have felt like this. But we know she doesn't feel like this. She feels like this. She's overjoyed. So we've got two different responses. The dog can't be the cause because we've got fear and fun. So there's two different causes. Something is causing two different causes. It can't be the dog. The dog is just activating, actually, something in Dave. In fact, let's separate those. Something in Dave and something in Mary. Two different things. The dog is activating that, and that's the cause of their feelings. And actually, if we thought about this a little more, we say, well, hang on, we're just looking at two examples of this, but presumably we could think about 100 different people or more. And there would be loads of different possible responses to the same situation. So the same situation potentially is causing or creating a number of different causes. So the dog activates all of these different things in all of these different people. Some people might be terrified, they might be fearful, they might have a panic attack. Some people could experience real terror. And for other people, it might be mild inconvenience. Some people might be angry. Some people might be rageful. They want to shoot the dog or drown the dog or find the owner and punch him in the face or her in the face. Some people have a rage reaction. Some people would be ashamed that they weren't able to face the dog. They would be ashamed of their response or feeling guilty about their response. Others would be prideful. My dog's much better controlled than that. My dog's much better than that. My feelings are much better than yours. I'm not scared of dogs. Some people would have a pride response, wouldn't they? Some people maybe would be apathetic. They wouldn't even notice. Some people wouldn't even see the dog because they'd be thinking about something else. All of these different responses from the same activating event, obviously the dog can't be causing them. It must be just activating something in the individual, and that's the key, isn't it? This really is behind the basis of this great quote. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? It's not things as they are, but as we are. So what's the objective truth? Well, there isn't really an objective truth when you think about it like that, is there? The truth is subjective. It depends on us. That's why Ramana Maharshi said, people look out and they want to change the world. He said, don't bother trying to change the world. The world you see doesn't even exist. That's just the world you see. That's not the objective world. It's powerful, isn't it? Really powerful when you think about it. Don't bother trying to change the world. The world you see doesn't even exist. Now, to help us understand this, I want to bring in Dr. Albert Ellis's ABC model of emotional disturbance. I think you're going to love this if you haven't seen it before. Really powerful. The A stands for activating event. The C stands for consequence. So we've got an activating event, and then we've got a consequence of that activating event. So in our example we were using with the dog is the activating event. The dog runs towards Mary and Dave. That's the activating event, and then there's a consequence. In this case, fear. Dave experiences fear. And because the dog appears and he feels fear, then it's natural for him to think the dog is causing the fear. But we've just blown that out of the water. It's not the dog causing the fear. Something else is causing the fear. What is it? It's the ideas that Dave holds in mind. It's the story he tells himself. It's what he believes to be true about dogs. That's what's causing the emotion, the consequence, the fear. It's what Dave believes to be true about dogs that is causing his fear response. So an easy way to remember this is it's the B about the A that causes the C. It's the belief about the event that causes the fear. Interesting, isn't it? So it's the belief. That's at the heart of it. That's the bit that we got to change. Now, when we think about the activating event, it's interesting to consider it in a real scenario like we've just been doing. So we've just been talking about a real dog appearing. But also, remember in the first video, when we were talking about the lion, I said, if you see a lion, your body's going to respond. Or if you just thought you saw a lion, your body's going to respond. You just think, there wasn't even a lion there. You're imagining it. You believe that you saw it, but there wasn't a lion there. Your body's going to respond in the same way. So if you actually saw a lion, or if you imagine, so the activating event can be real or imaginary. It can be in the past. It can be something that happened that you're recalling. It can be something happening right now, or it can be something you're imagining in the future. All of these can be activating events. And then the consequence can be a thought. Maybe something happens and your thinking is the consequence of that. Or you're feeling, like we've seen, range of different emotions could be the consequence. Or you could take action, you can run away or do something. Or maybe if you do nothing, maybe it's symptoms in the body could be the consequence. And all of these stem from, as we said, the beliefs. And the belief is just a result of a learning process. The belief is a result of a learning process. We saw that Dave and Mary had different learning processes about dogs, and so those learning processes brought about different interpretations of the event and therefore different consequences, different feelings in their body. So belief is a result of a learning process, and interestingly, it's not a reflection of reality. Neither Dave or Mary's beliefs about the dog are a reflection of the reality. They don't know anything about that dog. That's actually a reflection, a result of their learning process. So important to understand the difference between those. Now, what role does then the belief play? What does it do? So we can't actually see it, but we know it's in there. So an iceberg is a great kind of metaphor for this. The beliefs are under the water. It's hidden. Our opinions are in there somewhere. Our perceptions, we can't see these, but we see the effects of them. Our feelings, of course. Our values, our cherished beliefs, our core beliefs, the attitudes that we hold, our expectations about what's going to happen, the thoughts we have. We can't see these on the outside. They're going on underneath, aren't they? What we see is the behaviors. We see the actions. We see the things that we do or people do. That's out there. That's observable. The rest of it is hidden. But it's the beliefs that are behind all of these things. So if we think about 3 different kind of time frames that you're all familiar with, the past, the present, and the future, we're memories about the past. We notice, we perceive what's going on around us, and we imagine things happening in the future. Beliefs are behind how we interpret all of those. So we ruminate about the past. We should have done better. We should have done something differently. That's based upon what we believe we should have done, isn't it? It's based on our beliefs or our expectations about the future. They're just beliefs about what we think is going to happen in the future. That's what an expectation is. So it's what we believe that's behind that. Our regrets about the past. It's interesting that most people don't live in the present. They're either too busy worrying about the future or they're regretting the past. We all spend time in those two, don't we? Worrying about what's going to happen and regretting things that we've done in the past. It's not actually that helpful, is it? But that's where we spend a lot of time, and it's our beliefs that are behind both of those. Again, our regrets or our fears or our worries about the future and our thoughts and feelings about all of these all stem from our beliefs. That's at the core of what we need to change. And as Jim Rohn said, if you will change, everything will change for you. And if you won't change, nothing will. It's just going to stay the same. What are we talking about changing? We're talking about changing what we believe, aren't we? And the key to this is you have to understand and accept that our beliefs are not a reflection of reality. They're not. They're the result of a learning process. Because if you don't buy into that, you think what I believe is true, then you're saying, well, what's the point in pretending that things are different when they're not? There's no point in pretending everything's fine when it's not. But when you understand that they're the result of a learning process, so we've adopted this view. That's what Epictetus was saying at the beginning, by the views we take of them, not the events themselves. If you buy into that, then you can change. You can change. So our beliefs are at the heart of what we need to change. We experience them as emotions and thinking, but mainly the emotions are convincing, aren't they? And so beliefs and emotions are really just 2 sides of the same coin. The beliefs are the cause of the emotions, which is the cause of our thinking and our feelings and our perceptions and all of those things. And the emotions can be very convincing, but we do have a choice nevertheless. Kelly McGonigal said we can choose to follow our emotions, sure. If we don't feel like doing something, we can follow that. If we feel like doing something, we can follow that. Or we can choose to follow our values. What we've already decided is really important to us. We can choose to follow our emotions or our values. And this is why I love this quote from Abraham Maslow so much. He's saying exactly this, and this is exactly the key to overcoming fear, changing the way you feel about anything. In any given moment, we have two choices. We can step forward into growth, or we can step back into safety. What are we going to choose? Are we going to follow our values? Are we going to go for what's important? Are we going to develop our speaking skills because we know that it is actually safe and it is going to help us? Or are we not going to do it because we don't feel like it, because it feels wrong, because it feels like we're not cut out for this? What are we going to choose? It's up to us, isn't it? Maslow's saying, he's giving us the key here. Two choices: step forward into growth or step back into safety. If you're growing, tomorrow's going to be better. If you're growing today, tomorrow's going to be better. If you're not growing today, tomorrow's probably going to be a little bit worse. And on it goes. So the key is growth. That's what Maslow is saying. Choose to step forward into growth. That's the key. Taking action in direction of the fear. That's the way to overcome fear. Okay, what are the exercises for this session then? What do you believe about your ability to speak in front of other people? Let's get right down to it. What do you believe? Are you not a natural speaker, therefore it's not possible? Are you a natural speaker, therefore you got the gift of the gab and that's all there is to it? Something else. Can you do it? Can't you do it? What is it? What do you believe? And then where did those beliefs come from? We've said it's not a reflection of reality. Whatever you believe about your abilities, it's not actually it doesn't reflect your actual potential, your actual abilities. It's just what you've come to believe. It's probably wrong. You're probably massively underestimating what you're capable of. So where did those beliefs come from? Have a think about it. Whatever you think about your ability to speak, where did those beliefs come from? See if you can find where they came from. And then this is key to really consider. You might want to stop the tape and think about this for some time. Are they really, whatever it is you believe, wherever they came from, even though they feel convincing, are they really an accurate indication of what you're capable of learning? Does it really mean that you can't develop your speaking? And then just think about, if yes, why? Why do you believe that? If no, why not? Why don't you believe that? Got it? Simple. And then we'll see you in the next video, the final video of the series, number 3, when we talk about how do I change. See you then. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. God bless.